Hello everybody and welcome back to my channel. In today's video I'm going to be talking about a German CV layout. So if you're interested in seeing and understanding exactly how to create one, then keep watching.
Lovely if you subscribe.
So for starters, the German CV is totally different from other countries' layouts, and I find it to be quite simple compared to the one I was used to creating basically. The German CV only requires to have 1 to 2 pages, so you do not need to have so many pages, not more than 2 pages, then it becomes too much. You can actually have it in two different layouts where one you can have your picture on it, and the other one you don't necessarily need to put a picture. So the one with the picture, you need to have a little, a professional picture just of your face and a little bit of shoulders. You can be smiling, you can look happy and stuff like that, but you don't need, it's not like a selfie or something where you're doing pouting or doing funny facial expressions, because again it's a CV and you're applying for a job or school. Whereas the other one, you don't have to put your picture because sometimes some people are uncomfortable with that, and they do want people to employ you or to accept you according to your curriculum and not according to your physical appearance, if that makes sense. So the design of the CV is supposed to be very clean and professional, unless you're applying for like a professional designer or you're applying for something else, then you can include some designs on your CV. Otherwise, you just need a clean CV. So content more than design, basically. You also need to make sure that the spacing of your words are at least 2 centimeters, because they don't like it when everything is clustered in one, because then it doesn't make sense. It doesn't look as professional. And you should also make sure that you do not have any spelling mistakes. And when it comes to spelling mistakes, the CV can actually be done in English. I just found out you can actually do your CV in English or in German. Now, if you do not speak proper German, especially when it's in a professional way where you have to make sure that all the sentences are correct. Because if you use Google Translate, trust me, it's not going to be as professional because the sentences are not going to make so much sense. And applying for a professional something, you do not want to have spelling mistakes, because then they will find you not very professional. Either you do it yourself in English, or you ask somebody who you trust and is a German native or is really good in German, who can help you out with making this CV, just to omit all of these spelling mistakes. And the CV also need to be in a reverse chronological order. So basically you start with what is recent, going down to what is, what you did before. So let's say your latest qualification is a degree in a specific field. That's what you start with, and then you continue down to say your high school certificate and so forth. So you need to start with the recent qualification that you own. If you are applying to study, then you need to start with your latest study level, so your latest qualification basically. If you're for example, applying for a master's, then you need to put your latest honors degree. And if you're applying for diploma, probably put your your latest high school certificate and so forth. Same thing if you're applying for work. So if you're applying for a job, then you need to put your latest job experience. If you're working in I don't know what company, latest, that's what you need to put. And especially if you're applying for a company which is similar to what you're already doing, then that's what you need to put. Sometimes you don't need to include every other thing that you did, which is not really necessary, or it's not going to help your process in this application. Some of those things, they just take up much space, and they are not necessary in that point in time. So try to make sure that each CV that you create is actually tailored for the job you're applying, because they really appreciate to see the time you've put in to just create this CV specifically for them. That makes more sense. This is just similar as when you're doing a cover letter. You cannot make one cover letter which fits every other you know job or school that you're trying to apply for. So you create every cover letter tailored to that specific job. So this is the same with the CV also. If you're applying for sports, then it's not necessary for you to put in things that are not related to sports, because then it's just a waste of time and a waste of the page and the time of the HR or whoever is actually going through these documents. And the quicker and straight to the point, the more you are more regarded and the more professional you look, right? And the other thing is the Germans like numbers, So when you make your CV and you include a lot of numbers, it makes more sense, and it, create that they it just boosts everything. For instance, you say, I worked in a, I don't know, I was working with kids. Instead of just saying I was working with kids at a primary school and so forth, you can say I was working with about 200 kids, and I taught these kids for like 8 hours a day, and something like this. Just put the numbers, because then when they see this, it's like, wow, 200 kids, and for 8 hours a day, this person must be very, you know, credible and stuff like that. So include more numbers and whether kilometers, or if it's something related to sports, say I walked like, I don't know, 8 kilometers in 5 hours. I don't know. Just include numbers and make it look more attractive, because when it comes to numbers, they really, it catches their eye. And yeah. So when it comes to writing down your experiences, you usually write down with a date in the beginning. So if you did something from January the 5th until March the 10th, then you need to put the date exactly, like 5th of this month, the year, and then until this month, so they can also tell how long you did this training for. Because you might say, no, I have an experience, or I've got experience in working with kids, and you probably just did it for 2 days or for 1 week, then that does not really make sense. So usually put that from what year to what year, or from what month until what time that you did that specific training, so that they can just follow. And again, like I said, they do like numbers, so the more it is visually appealing, the more you are also regarded, and the more professional it looks. And if you had like a gap year, or like 10 years of not doing something on your CV, then you can also just briefly explain what you were doing. Maybe you're taking care of your parent, or you just decided to take a vacation, where because you wanted to see the world, or just explain briefly why there's a gap year, because then they'll get to understand and also to know who you really are. I think last but not least, just make sure that you are honest in this CV. Make sure that whatever you put in there, you are very honest, because they usually are very much, on whatever word you say. So everything you write in that CV, if you tell them you can speak German or you can speak French, then make sure you can, because you don't want to find yourself in a situation where you're supposed to translate and now you cannot even speak French or such. So these are the samples of the German CV. And if you have any questions, you can just drop them down in the comment below, and I will make sure to reply to your questions. Otherwise, you can also just go online. I'm also going to put some links in the description below, so you can find the links to a template of how to do a German CV. But otherwise, if you have a German friend and so forth, you can always ask them to give you their CV, just so you can find see how they did their thing, and give it to somebody first to evaluate before you can hand it in. And yeah, that should be it for today. If you enjoyed this video, then please give it a thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe, and auf Wiedersehen. Tschüss.